This video is sponsored by NordVPN and will begin right after a short message. Do you use the internet? Don't lie to me, I know you do. Did you know that anytime you're online, someone could be watching everything you're doing? Including when you're making a purchase, filling out location information, or checking out a Zelda video online. Oh, if there were only a quick, easy, and affordable way to mask your IP address, giving you complete privacy and protection when you browse the internet. Actually, there is. Thanks to the buddies at NordVPN sponsoring this video, old Uncle Bandit's got you covered. By using the link located in the description below or using the code NintendoBandit when checking out, you can take advantage of this special deal and get 4 months for free with a purchase of a 2-year plan. Once again, follow the link in the description below or use the code NintendoBandit when checking out, but hurry, this offer is only good for a limited amount of time. And now, on to the video. Previously on MaskedNintendoBandit.
Have you ever wondered about where the Triforce was in Breath of the Wild? It's no secret that the legendary artifact is the pinnacle and most recognizable symbol of the Legend of Zelda. So why was it not in the series' latest title, Breath of the Wild? Not including the Triforce seems like a deliberate choice given its impact on the rest of the games in the series. Could it be that the Triforce wasn't present due to a greater plotline coming in the Breath of the Wild sequel that will include the golden artifact? Could it be that the Triforce will return to Hyrule?
Okay, is everybody done cringing over the quality of my older videos? Take a moment if you need to, I know I did. Anyway, what I just showed you is an older theory of mine that covers where the Triforce might have been in the events of Breath of the Wild. You know what I did not cover in the video though? The fact that the Triforce is not present in Breath of the Wild. In fact, I state quite plainly at the start of the video that the Triforce just isn't in the game at all. But little did I know that that's actually a pretty debated fact among the fanbase. Oh, but don't worry, the comments brought it to my attention, so on that note, I've decided like a year and a half later to bring the long anticipated sequel to that theory. Now, this video will be covering why I believe the Triforce is nowhere to be found in the game and isn't going to cover where I think instead the Triforce was, because that was kind of the point of the other video. If you're interested in that theory though, I will link to it in the description below, but just be prepared. I was still pretty new to all this, so it's kind of rough in some parts. Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? First, let's talk about what we know the Triforce is in contrast to what appears on the back of Zelda's hand in Breath of the Wild. The Triforce is a physical relic that grants wishes. It does possess the ability to temporarily lose its physical form and fuse with a holder, making that iconic yet in this case confusing mark of the Triforce on the back of that user's hand. Although we've only seen this happen when the Triforce is split into its 3 separate pieces of power, wisdom, and courage, and never when it's a completed whole. In fact, in A Link to the Past, Ganon actually legitimately possesses the entire Triforce, but upon his defeat, it's revealed that he was not infused with the Triforce, but rather was keeping the pieces in a chamber located behind the room where you battle. I happen to think that this is simply because the completed Triforce does not fuse. We have also seen the complete process that takes place when someone pieces the Triforce together and actually uses it, as in makes a wish. In The Wind Waker, at the end of the game, Ganondorf successfully finds Tetra/Zelda and Link, and at this point, all 3 pieces that were residing in their hosts automatically leave their hosts because they can sense the other pieces are nearby. The 2 pieces from Link and Zelda meet Ganondorf's and reform the completed 3-piece Triforce in front of everyone. But then, as fans will recall, Ganondorf is caught supervillain monologuing, and the King of Hyrule actually touches the relic before he can, making a wish that Hyrule would drown once and for all, and with it the relics of the past, including Ganondorf and himself. After this selfless wish, the Triforce flies into the air and splits again. And in the follow-up games of the adult timeline, the Triforce is never to be seen again. It's almost like the Triforce splits itself after use to prevent misuse or overuse of its omnipotent power. Where it goes after it splits here is, of course, a mystery, the most common theory for this being that it returns to the Sacred Realm, but that's besides the point. You see, problem number 1 with the idea that Zelda possesses the complete Triforce in Breath of the Wild is that it doesn't line up with the Triforce's proven patterns of behavior that we just discussed, like the fact that it's never been seen to reside in an individual in its completed form, or the fact that it will split apart after use. In Breath of the Wild, whatever power is residing inside Zelda shows the entire symbol of the Triforce on the back of her hand, which we've never seen happen with the actual Triforce, and doesn't leave or depart after Zelda uses her powers. No fewer than 3 times in the game, once to seal Ganon inside the castle, once to give Link the light arrows, and once to seal Ganon completely. Secondly, the Triforce's powers don't line up with what Zelda's powers are shown to do in the game. As I mentioned before, therefore, the Triforce is a wishing machine. Relic, I mean. Because of this, it is considered to be all-powerful and is referred to as the ultimate power in Skyward Sword, and as such has been the desire and catalyst for countless wars and battles and assassination attempts that span more than the entirety of the Zelda timeline on the protectors of the Triforce known as the royal family and the family's ancestor, the goddess Hylia herself. In Breath of the Wild, Zelda's powers are unlocked through an intense emotional state like some sort of power-up and can perform many different feats, such as a huge cleansing blast of light that results in the abolition of Ganon's malice and destruction of machinery that previously was running on malice, granting Link the light arrows and ultimately sealing Calamity Ganon away for at least another 10,000 years or so. Right off the bat, you can see that none of this aligns with what you would expect from a relic that grants wishes, but rather aligns with her already seen powers from previous games, like when she held Ganon back with light in Ocarina of Time, or when she fired light arrows in Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. The majority of her powers shown in Breath of the Wild are actually just rehashes from her previously shown abilities from previous Zelda games and don't really have anything to do with the ultimate power known as the Triforce. So pattern-wise and power-wise, Zelda's powers have really nothing to do with the Triforce, except for the symbol that briefly appears on her hand, but rather have everything to do with powers she's already been shown to have, except for one in particular: her sealing power. So the final question remains: if Zelda doesn't possess the entire Triforce in Breath of the Wild, where exactly did her never-before-seen sealing power come from? The answer is most likely from the sages. You see, sealing Ganon is a trope that's kind of been done several times in the past, namely in Ocarina of Time, when after Ganon is defeated by Link with the aid of Zelda, she calls upon the sages to seal him away. It's important to note that at this point, the Triforce of Courage was with Link, the Triforce of Wisdom was with Zelda, and the Triforce of Power was still with Ganondorf, meaning the sealing power is not tied to the power of the Triforce at all, but rather to the sages. In Breath of the Wild, the sages are nowhere to be found. Well, almost. There is a brief mention of the possible reincarnation of a sage on Satori Mountain known as Satori, but not only is he deceased at this point, but the title of sage used here could just simply mean protector of the mountain and not holy sage like it used to. Either way, I said the sages were almost nowhere to be found because one of them, their leader in fact, has a living descendant we see all the time. Can you guess who it is? Yeah, it's none other than Princess Zelda herself, who in Ocarina of Time is shown to be the 7th sage and their leader. Since the other sages are nowhere to be found in the game, why wouldn't their collective sealing power now reside in Zelda, the last remaining sage? It actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it this way, and I think completely explains away the idea that Zelda's power comes from the Triforce. It doesn't. It comes from a combination of her ancient powers and the sealing power of the sages. The Triforce symbol on the back of her hand is most likely just that, a symbol, since it is, after all, also the symbol of the goddesses and generally used to depict what is good and holy and righteous in Zelda games. It also makes appearances in clothing and beautiful wall art, but nobody says that's the Triforce, right? Okay, jokes aside, that was ultimately just my theory about why the Triforce is not present in Breath of the Wild, and we don't actually have it in writing anywhere, but what do you guys think? If you previously thought Zelda possessed the complete Triforce, or maybe you still do, or something else entirely, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like below to get the truth spread around on YouTube, and if you enjoy this kind of Nintendo content, maybe smash that subscribe button to stick around. It's free. Also, huge thanks to my supporters who I would not be able to do any of this without. If you watching want to give old Bandit a holiday gift or maybe just help the next video come to life, feel free to press that join button below any of my videos or follow the links to my Patreon in the description below. Also, there are now less than 20 days left to claim your limited edition 100,000 subscribers special merch. So be sure to check it out and use the code HAPPY100 for a discount, courtesy of yours truly. They make for some pretty awesome presents and may just arrive by Christmas time depending on where you are. That's all I've got for this one, so as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. This is MaskedNintendoBandit signing out. Peace!